Mounting a red dot optic on either a precision rifle like this or maybe even a precision semi-auto. And a lot of times guys wonder, well, why do that? You have a scoped gun. Why do I need a red dot hanging off the side of it? Well, you don't necessarily need it. However, if you are dialed in on a higher power, it can be really helpful in the event something presents itself much closer. That way you don't have to either shoot it on zoom or you would have to dial back down in order to make that shot. So having a red dot on the either precision semi-auto or a bolt action gun can be a huge benefit. Now, where to mount it to? Sometimes what people will do is I'll mount it right here to the side of this rail and it'll kick out on an angle. But then you have to be careful. Certain turrets are really big nowadays and can block it, which means now it's starting to get really far off the bore axis. You can find different types of mounts that are independent, but like this spur mount right here, it allows this Holosun to mount right on that kind of 45-degree angle to where when you're ready, if you choose to go with a red dot, you can mount one there in that position, or you can just leave it slick. Okay, so now it's time to zero this. The question would be, what distance? Well, obviously that's going to be up to you. I do have, when we look at this angle here, this is centered where the dot is going to be. And then when we measure down, if we were to use probably, we're looking at, figure each knuckle is an inch, is a good rule. By the time I get to the top, I'm looking at probably 4.5 inches of height over bore difference. So if I engage a target at 50 yards, I know I'm driving in like this, and I'd rather stretch that out just a little bit instead intersecting there. I'd rather stretch that out to 100 if I can. Now, this is supposed to be for a close engagement, but my thought process always is the longer I can get out of something, the better off I'm going to be. If I don't use it for that, and it really is a close shot, then great. But if for some odd reason I need it on a 100-yard target, I know I'm still centered on that as well. And then of course I have my scope beyond that. So your zero distance is going to be up to you. Pick one, choose it, train with it, practice with it. For me, it's 100 yards for this particular red dot and this setup. So now we show up to the range. We have it mounted here at about a 45-degree angle. What I'm going to recommend is try to bag your gun as best you can. Make sure your crosshairs are on whatever you're using for a target. So let's just say it's a 6-inch bullseye. Make sure your crosshairs are centered on that, and then take that red dot and move it over to that same target, okay? So when I look through the scope and then I make my adjustments right here, I'm walking my red dot over to the target downrange, and I just confirm crosshairs are still there. And that's because we know the crosshairs are good. So we might as well co-witness this dot temporarily to that target downrange, and then we'll shoot it independently. There's a couple different ways to zero this red dot. One would be where I now independently, I'm on my red dot. I get a good chin weld right here. I've got a nice chin weld. I want to make sure the dot is centered in the glass, and I break that shot. That's not going to be the issue. The issue is going to be now elevation is going on this direction for both up and down, and windage now, if we were to correct to this, goes left and right, which means you look down range through your glass, which makes it really convenient, and you notice you need to go up a little bit. You make that correction, and what you're going to also notice is not only that you're going up, but you're going to change in your aspect of your windage as well. Two different ways to do it. You can either keep, you know, kind of crescent moon in it back and forth if that's what you choose to do. The benefit is you do have a good quote unquote chin to cheek weld on it, or you could negate that, roll this gun over, bag it, and then I just shoot the red dot right from this position. Now the good news is when I go to zero it, since we're still talking our 0 point, okay, so everything that's happening is making sure that this dot and that bore, everything intersects on point of aim, point of impact of what you want it to be centered on. So when I shoot it from here, the drawback is a little bit of face movement can change, and I really need to be very diligent in regards to keeping this into center of the glass. Now, when I fire that shot off, because this optic is now level, the elevation when I make my clicks is going up and down, and I get a true left and right. So something you're going to have to think about when you're zeroing this. For this, I'm going to be working a target at 100 and then 150. After that, it's just a whole lot of fun. Now you can just run some drills where you're red dot to scope, and of course scope to red dot, and different distances. Red dot. Back to 2. I think I'm really going to get into this whole precision rifle thing. This 6.5 Creedmoor is like shooting 9mm. It's a joke. This whole gun, this whole build, this thing is just, I don't know. It's like firing a laser beam. It's like I got a laser beam.